Hi, boys and girls. Today, before you clicked on the link for this Zoom, you should have watched the Lesson 4 video where you're going to learn the background information and see some practice problems to be able to complete the must-do problems for today. The must-do problems for Lesson 4 begin on page 19 in your student workbook. So go ahead and take those out and turn to page 19. The must-do problems for this set are numbers 3 and 5 through 8. Okay, so we're going to start down here on lesson 3. On question 3. I know that the video showed you how to decompose some equations to make it easier for yourself to multiply big numbers. Now, if you think back to when we were still going to school face-to-face, and if you even think back to your sprint packet when we started multiplying extended facts, I did teach you a shortcut. And just like with many other areas of math, we like to teach you a couple different strategies, and then you can choose the one that fits you best. For these problems, we're going to use the strategy that we've been using, and then for those that give us a place value chart, we'll practice that way also. So for number 3, we're going to fill in the blanks in the following equations. Remember, this strategy only works for multiplication. So here we have 6 times 10. We're going to take off the 0, put it in our answer, and then you're left with a basic fact. 6 times 1 equals 6. And you've probably noticed I've been talking a lot about multiplication facts. We're going to start doing 10 minutes of fact practice as part of your daily routine. You're going to need to start learning those facts this quickly. Okay, now for this one, we have to think, what times 6 gives us 600? So here we have 2 zeros in our answer. So now we're going to work backwards, and we're going to put 2 zeros as one of our factors. Now, 6 times what will give me 6? And that answer is 6 times 1 equals 6. So if you want to check your work, solve 100 times 6. Take off your zeros. They're in your answer. 1 times 6 equals 6. So 100 times 6 equals 600. Let me back up 1 minute to letter A. When you go back to read this equation, you don't want to say 6 times 1 equals 60. You want to actually get rid of that crossed out 0, because the answer to the equation 6 times 10 equals 60. We just take off that 0 to help us solve. Okay, letter C. We have 6,000 equals blank times 1,000. Now, sometimes they put the numbers, the factors, and the product in a different order. This is just like writing 1,000 times what gives us 6,000. They just started with the product at the beginning. So right here we have 1, 2, 3 zeros, and those are already 1, 2, 3 zeros put in our answer. 1 times what gives me 6? 1 times 6 equals 6. So 6,000 equals 6 times 1,000. Letter D, 10 times 4. Some of you may know that fact, but if that's something that's still hard for you, take off your 0, put it in your answer. You're left with 1 times 4 equals 4. 10 times 4 equals 40. Now we have 4 times what equals 400? So I see 2 zeros in my answer. There's no 0 in this factor, so I'm going to put my 2 zeros in my second factor, my empty line. 4 times what equals 4? 4 times 1 equals 4. 4 times 100 equals 400. Letter F. Blank times 4 equals 4,000. Again, I have 1, 2, 3 zeros in my answer, no zeros in this factor. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 zeros in this factor. What times 4 equals 4? 1 times 4 equals 4. So 1,000 times 4 equals 4,000. Letter G, 1,000 times 9. 1, 2, 3 zeros. As soon as you take those off, put those zeros in your answer so you don't forget about them. I'm left with 1 times 9 equals 9. 1,000 times 9 equals 9,000. Letter H, what equals 10 times 9? I'm going to work backwards. 9 times 10, take off my 0, put it in my answer. 9 times 1 equals 9. So 90 equals 10 times 9. Now I have 900 equals blank times 100. Here I have 2 zeros in my answer, but I already have 2 zeros in one of my factors. So now I'm just thinking 1 times what equals 9, which is 9. So 900 equals 9 times 100. So for number 3, we just used our extended facts to break it down and make it a simpler, more basic fact to solve with by taking off those zeros. Now we're going to turn to number 5, and we're going to use this place value chart. So the problem that we're solving is 18 times 100. So your book has decomposed this for you as 18 times 10 times 10. So we're going to break up 18 into 1 10 and 8 ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to multiply those by 10. And you remember before when we would bundle and move, we move that over. 10 times 10 gives me 100. And I'm going to take all 8 of these, multiply them by 10 to move to my tens place. Now I'm going to multiply by another 10. So I'm going to take this 100, multiply by 10. And now I'm going to take these 8 tens, multiply by 10 to give me 8 in my hundreds place. So after I multiplied by 10, 10 times 10 would be my 100. Now let's look at what I have as my answer. I have 1 in the thousands place and 8 in my hundreds place. Nothing in my tens, nothing in my ones. So I took my 1, 10, and 8 ones and multiplied it by 100 to get 1,000. Actually, they want us to write this one out, I believe. This would be 1,800. Now, up here, let's go ahead and try using the extended facts strategy. I'm going to take off an 18 times 100. I'm going to take off my 2 zeros, put them in my answer, and I'm left with 18 times 1 equals 18, which is the same as 1,800. 18 times 10, we took all, and this is what we showed in our chart, which would also be 1,800. This is a nice visual to show you what you're doing when you are multiplying by those multiples of 10, how you're moving it throughout the left to the left of the place value chart. Okay, number 6, 25 times 1,000. Let's go ahead and solve this one using our extended fact strategy. We're going to take off 3 zeros, put them in our answer. We're left with 25 times 1 equals 25. So 25 times 1,000 equals 25,000. Now we're going to decompose this equation and put it in our place value chart. So we keep our 25 together, but then we break down the 1,000 into 10 times 10 times 10, because when you show 10 times 10 times 10, take away your 3 zeros. 1 times 1 equals 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. So 10 times 10 times 10 equals 1,000. So this is the same equation as this, but it's just broken down into more steps. So now we're going to take our 25, and we've decomposed it into 2 10s and 5 1s. So here's my 2 10s and my 5 1s. My first step is going to be to multiply my 10s by 10. So they go here, and my 1s by 10. That took care of one of my jumps. Now I have to multiply by 10 again. So my 2 hundreds now become 2,000s. My 5 10s, when I multiply them by 10, they now become 500s. So I've done it 2 times. One more. So now I'm going to take my 2,000s, multiply by 10, and I'm going to take my 500s, multiply by 10, and that was my third jump. Let's see what we have. I have 1 2 in my 10,000s place. I have 5 in my thousands place. Nothing in my hundreds, nothing in my tens, nothing in my ones. So when I take 25 times 10 times 10 times 10, I am left with 1 2 3, comma 25,000, which is 2 10,000s and 5,000s. You want to put it in word form. Okay, let's move on to number 7 and 8. Here we have to decompose each multiple of 10, 100, or 1,000 before multiplying. Okay, so I have 3 times 40 equals 3 times 4 times what? So my 3's are in the same spot, but I've decomposed this 40. Zoom in a little more. So when I decompose the 40, I have to think. This is my tens place. There's 4 of them, so it would be 4 times 10. This is the same as 40. Now, you see, we solved 3 times 4 equals 12, but I need to bring down this 10 also. So now I'm left with 12 times 10. 12 tens are the same as what? What are 12 tens? You'd be thinking. If that didn't lead you to an answer, then take away your 0. 12 times 1 equals 12. 120. 12 times 10 equals 120. So your answer to 3 times 40 is 120. Now let's just double check. If I bring down my 3 times 40, if I take off my 0, I have the 0 in my answer. Then I'm left with 3 times 4 equals 12. So it does check. Okay, they're getting bigger now. Now we're going to look at number 8. 3 times 200. So we need to break down the 200. So we're going to put 3 times 100 times 100 because 100 and 100 gives us 200. No, we need 100 times 100 would give us 1,000. So we need to look at this 200 and we know we can think how many hundreds is that? So it would be 3 times 2 times 100. If you caught my mistake, I did 100 and 100. That if I multiply those, that doesn't give me 200. That would give me 1,000. That's way too big. So I said something didn't seem right there for me. So now I look, 2 times 100 equals 200, which is the same. Remember, we want these sides of the equation to be the same because we have that equal sign there. Okay, now we're going to multiply 3 times 2 to give us 6 and bring down your 100. 6 times 100 is 600. Let's double check. Bring down our problem. 3 times 200, take off my zeros, put them in my answer. I am left with 3 times 2 equals 6. 600. Okay, so just to remind you of our goals for today. 1, we were practicing multiplying multiples of 10 by different numbers using the place value chart to show a visual representation, and also using the strategy that we use in school where we take off the zeros and put them back. That's taking an extended fact and making it a more basic fact. I'm going to just double check with our Schoology page. To see what we have for today. So before you came to the Zoom on Wednesday, you should have watched the lesson 4 video and then you were completing these problems. After you're finished with these problems, the only thing left for you today is to complete some of your math accelerator. Remember, that's Khan Academy. Then tomorrow when you come to class, we'll be working on more of these lesson 4 problems. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. If not, I'll see you tomorrow.